Blink up, baby. You just hit my line for the wind down. There's only one thing on my mind when you come around me. I get lost in where you found me. Want you to use me. You let her confuse me. Don't wanna hide the fact that you make me feel that way. Want you to give me play. I see it in your eyes, you're lonely. Come put that body on me. I hit it right, I will. I treat you right, I will. Trust me, I got you, baby. Know how to make you feel. They can't do you like I will. Nobody do you like I will. I hit it right, I will. I treat you right, I will. Me, I got you, baby. Know how to make you feel. They can't do you like I will. They can't do you like I will. Like I will. I treat you right, I will. Trust me, I got you, baby. Know how to make you feel. I treat you right, I will. I treat you right, I will. Trust me, I got you, baby. Know how to make you feel. I hit it right, I will. I treat you right, I will. Trust me, I got you, baby. Know how to make you feel. I hit it right, I will. I treat you right, I will. They can't do you like I will. Like I will. Pick up the phone, little baby. You got me up and I'm wavy. You know I want you to myself. You know you've been driving me crazy. Look at me right in the eye and tell me it's mine. If not, I'ma make it that way. You know I want you in a major way. I bless that body, make you share your grace. I've been trying to get you face to face. Fall through and give you ways to waste. I do what it takes. I make them walls sing on your heart strings. Say your heart. I treat you right, I will. I treat you right, I will. Trust me, I got you, baby. Know how to make I treat you right, I will. I hit it right, I will. Trust me, I got you, baby. Know how to make it feel. I hit it right, I will. Trust
Yo, what up, y'all? It's your boy Rob coming back at you once again with another live stream. So before we get started, you already know what to do. If you're not subscribed to the channel, make sure you hit the bell icon twice. Smash the like button, share this video out to all of your followers, and let's get it cracking. All right, so shout out to everybody who is in the room. If you guys can hear me okay, please give me a thumbs up. If you guys cannot hear me, please give me a thumbs down. I'm going to shout out everybody who is here. Before I get started shouting out everybody who is here, I want everybody to throw some flames in the chat for the anti-sheep. All right, shout out to the anti-sheep. Your boy the anti-sheep dropped me a very generous Cash App yesterday, and it's definitely appreciated because it is stuff like that that helps me to continue to be able to provide more and better content for you guys. All right, so it's good to see everybody. I'm gonna shout you all out. All right, we got Brooklyn Queen in the building. Shout out to Brooklyn Queen. We got Antithesis B1 in the building. We got Catsy in the building. We got Vovo 2 Love in the house. We got Andretti 2 Cold. Shout out to Andretti 2 Cold. We got Denise Scales up in here. Shout out to Denise. We got Shamika Gray in the building. We got my man DeAndre in the house. All right. And I think that is it. I hope I didn't skip anybody. All right. So it's good to see all of you guys in here. All right. I'm going to try to run through this information as quickly as possible. So if it sounds like I'm rushing, it's because I am. If it sounds like I'm rushing, then I'm doing a good job because that's exactly what I'm doing. All right. And then we're going to be doing a stream on BLR 1, all right? Or I'm sorry, on BLR 2. So make sure you watch this stream all the way through to the end, and it'll take you right into that stream that we're doing on BLR 2. All right, shout out to Ty Valentine. B1 was good with it. And shout out to New York State of Mind. What's good with it? So we had some developments occur, all right? I don't know if anybody heard about these developments. If you haven't heard about them, we're going to talk about them now, all right? So the first development is your boy hip hop mayor Eric Adams. All right, they are really giving him a hard time. How many people heard about what happened to Eric Adams? If you guys heard about what happened to Eric Adams, put it in the comment section. Let's get it.
Mr. Mayor, I wanted to get some more details about your trip to D.C. on Thursday. Who are you meeting with exactly? Is anybody else on the trip? And also, I wanted to get your thoughts. The comptroller yesterday saying that he revoked your emergency contracts for the migrants.
Did you hear that? How many people heard that? How many people knew about that? The comptroller of New York City revoked Eric Adams' authority on the pricing of the migrant contracts. How many people knew about that? If you guys knew about that, give me a thumbs up. If you guys did not know about that, give me a thumbs down. So now here's the question. What does that mean? What does that mean? What does that mean for Eric Adams? What does that mean for New York City? What does that imply? That's pretty significant. And real quick, shout out to everybody that's watching. We got 22 people watching and we got 13 likes. If everybody can bang on that like button and get us over 30, that would be amazing.
Mr. Mayor, I wanted to get some more details about your trip to D.C. on Thursday. Who are you meeting with exactly? Is anybody else on the trip? And also, I wanted to get your thoughts. The comptroller yesterday saying that he revoked your emergency contracts for the migrants. What does that mean for you overall? And sorry, last question. Have you spoken to President Biden at all personally about the migrant crisis?
So let's peel it back in three levels. One, the trip to D.C., we always announce what the schedule is going to be the day before. We're going to do it this time. I'm sure DM Levy is going to do that. The second question is that you ask about the president. I have not communicated with the president since I think earlier this year. Was the last time I communicated with him, either earlier this year or late last year, around the same time. And your second question, I'm sorry?
About the comptroller and the fact
Yes.
that he revoked your
Okay, you know, many of you heard me say over and over again for almost 20 months.
Okay, so guys, you heard that, right? The comptroller has revoked Eric Adams' emergency contacts. And shout out to DeAndre. Throw some flames in the chat for him being a like enforcer. So Eric Adams no longer has the authority on the money to be spent on the New York migrant crisis as a result of the comptroller, shout out to DC Precise, taking that credit card away. Now, what does that imply on him as being a mayor and his management of the money? Now, remember, he just completed his budget. And that's where the figure of the, I believe it's 15% of cost cutting has to occur.
that I, wanted him to join the other citywide leaders, Speaker Adrian
Shout out to
Adams
Black Spider.
and,
What's good with the Black
Public
Spider?
Advocate Jamani Williams, to go to D.C. He went to D.C. 20 months later, and he came back with tying our hands. That's just sort of defies logic to me, that we have to make these quick decisions on dealing with these contracts and dealing with placing people in housing. So I'm a little disappointed that when he turned from DC, he didn't come back with any real answers on this is a national problem. I think we're over 150,000 now. And nationally, what we were able to accomplish without the support. And I just really think that's
real quick, ladies and gentlemen. Make sure you guys throw some radiation emoji in the chat and some flames from a man AB Promotions with the $4.99 super chat. AB Promotions says running low on cash, about to borrow another bag. Borrowing Peter to pay Paul is what they call that. Not good. You know what I'm saying? Running on fumes. Using credit to pay debt. Not the best liquidity model. You know what I'm saying? Not the best liquidity model at all. And real quick, shout out to everybody, man. We have, looks like 37 people watching. Shout out to everybody that's watching. Let's try to change that like number to 40.
Where the controller's attention should be on how do we get support from Washington, D.C. To pick up this cost. This should not be on the backs of New York City taxpayers. And, we're going to continue to, navigate this process. Deputy Mayor Williams-Isom, you probably can go into what his...
All right, so there's that,
Yeah,
right?
I wanted to get some more details about it.
So there's that, right? So now what we're going to do next is we're going to take a look here. There was a video that came out about a day ago from Fox 5 New York, and this video talks about the scrutiny and the critique that the City Hall is facing in regards to the criticism of the crisis management. Now, let me ask you guys this question. Do you all feel that Eric Adams has been managing the migrant crisis effectively? If you do think that he has, then give me a thumbs up. If you think that he has not, then give me a thumbs down and let me know specifically what areas that you think that he failed in.
More migrants are flooding into New York City, but it may now be harder to provide them with essential services.
Fox 5's Lizette Nunez is live in the East Village with the details where we have some problems recently. Good morning, Lizette.
Good morning, Dan and Tashani. I think what's happening here outside of St. Bridget's School is just the perfect example and also insight on how the migrant crisis has been playing out here in New York City. We have a number of folks here camping out, waiting for the school to reopen so they could offer services to migrants. Later this week, the mayor will head back to D.C. to address the migrant crisis, of course, on a national level. This comes after last time his trip was cut short after his chief fundraiser's home was raided.
No city should be handling a national problem of this magnitude and this scale.
Mayor Adams sounding off at a conference focused on the migrant crisis as he preps for another trip to D.C. this Thursday to address the matter at the national level. Adams highlighting the financial strain it has placed on the city.
So now, as far as this financial strain goes, right, what DC is saying is that DC has provided adequate funding. They're saying that Eric Adams and the New York City administration has received enough money to be able to handle the migrant crisis efficiently. However, what they're making the claim of is they're saying that the money hasn't been managed properly. Now, my question to you guys is, do you all feel that the money's been managed properly? And if you don't feel that the money has been managed properly, what would you do different? That's the key thing. I need to know what you guys would do different. And real quick, again, we got 34 people watching and we got 28 likes. If everybody could take a moment, get that number up to 40, that would be great.
But about $30-something billion. That
shout out to Akron Zippy and shout out to Ed and help me. What's good with y'all?
Must go to this crisis. Something is going to have to give, and it's going to be painful to the communities who are in need.
But City Hall could be getting more oversight on how it's dealing with the crisis. According to the New York Post, New York City Comptroller Brad Lander has taken away Mayor Adams' power to reach emergency deals with contractors without prior approval.
So now, what do you guys think about that? Mayor Eric Adams' power has been taken. He is no longer allowed to utilize his own judgment on the budget and migrant crisis spending. The comptroller has taken that away. Now, here's my question. How many people knew that the comptroller had that ability to freeze the mayor's spending power? If you guys knew that, then give me a thumbs up. If you did not know that, give me a thumbs down. And shout out to Lehman Lucas, by the way. What's good with it, bro?
more oversight on how it's dealing with the crisis. According to the New York Post, New York City Comptroller Brad Lander has taken away Mayor Adams's power to reach emergency deals with contractors without prior approval amid the ongoing migrant crisis.
Shout out to
A
Operator
spokesperson
6.
from
What's
the
good? Shout out to
Comptroller's
Erica
office told
Love.
the
What's up
Post
with y'all?
the move came after $1.7 billion in emergency contracts were reviewed in a 21-month span and found, quote, extensive failures to report subcontractors despite problems that surfaced with them.
So now here goes my question. Why would they not report subcontractors, and why would they not report problems that arose with them? Why would there be these reporting failures? That's the question. And real quick, ladies and gentlemen, shout out to Denise Scales. Make sure you guys show her some love. Throw some radiation emoji in the chat for the $5 super sticker. Gracious, gracious, gracious. Thank you very much. Definitely, definitely appreciate it. You guys humble me greatly in the amount of support that you all provide the channel. I am so grateful. Thank you so much. I definitely appreciate it. And you guys know it's going to go right back into the content. That's you guys are one of the reasons why I've been able to get more streams in. So I hope you guys have been enjoying them. But shout out to Denise. Make sure you guys show her some love. Y'all know what to do.
Recently, tension was also felt with the city and local food pantries. Chaos unfolded at the St. Bridget's Reticketing Center in the East Village as advocates attempted to step in and feed asylum seekers.
No one seems to know exactly what's supposed to happen at this place. No one seems to know exactly where food is going to come from. No one seems to know if we are even allowed to help them officially.
Soon after one of the organizations posted this video, they were contacted by members of Mayor Adams's team and given an area behind the facility to carry out their missions. Advocates say they want more dialogue with the city to continue to help out. And
I'm not trying to be funny, but like this right here is wild. Like this is a really bad look. It's almost like a human zoo almost. Like that's wild, man. That's a crazy look. How many people shout out to everybody that's from NYC that's in the building. How many people have been in New York and like been walking down the street or, you know what I'm saying, going somewhere and y'all have seen this kind of thing that I talk about on the channel, like in your daily travels?
the organizations posted this video, they were contacted by members of Mayor Adams's team and given an area behind the facility to carry out their missions. Advocates say they want more dialogue with the city to continue to help out in any way they can.
And one of the advocates that we spoke to says that they've seen a spike in need for food. Not only, of course, are they serving homeless individuals, any members of the local community, but also asylum seekers that we've been seeing here camping out. They said just last week, one day, they had to serve 500 lunches. That's the latest here from the East Village. Dan and Tashani will send things back inside.
Big problems, no doubt about it.
Now, East Village is in Manhattan, if I'm not mistaken, right? Somebody correct me if I'm wrong. So is that like in Manhattan? Is that by the Lower East Side of Manhattan, if I'm not mistaken? So, yeah, Eric Adams doesn't have his comptroller, or Eric Adams doesn't have his budget abilities anymore because the comptroller has stepped in and taken them. So now my question for you guys is, what do you think the consequences of that will be? That's what I thought. I thought that's what that was. East Village. Yeah. Okay.
Mayor Adams plans a trip to Washington Thursday for meetings on the migrant crisis. It is the first time the mayor will be in D.C. since he canceled his meetings the day the FBI raided the home of his campaign's chief fundraiser, who's no longer working in that position. Meanwhile, City Controller Brad Lander has restricted Mayor Adams' emergency power to grant emergency contracts on.
So how many people knew that the comptroller had that kind of power and that ability to be able to do that? So now here's my question for you guys. Now that Mayor Eric Adams does not have this authority anymore, the question then becomes, well, how is he going to make any decisions and how is he going to get anything done? If he's not able to make any decisions and he's not able to make anything or get anything done, that's going to make him look even worse. If he looks even worse as a result of all of this, what is that going to do to his second term electability?
The migrant crisis. Some elected officials have been critical of the administration's emergency spending decisions. And the UFT has launched a petition calling on the mayor to halt the city's 60-day limit for migrant families staying at emergency shelters.
So they want the 60-day limit to be halted. And I got to agree with Volvo. That's the point. That's the point. They want the 60-day limit at the migrant crisis shelters to be halted. Now, my question for you guys is, what do you all think about that? Do you guys think that 60-day limit should indeed be halted? Or do you guys think that they should continue with the 60-day limit how it is? Let me know what you guys think. We're going to look at this article here from the New York Times, and this article goes into detail about Mayor Eric Adams getting the rug swept from under him, which we all knew was going to happen. The only one that didn't know that it was going to happen was him. You know what I'm saying? So now here it says Mayor Eric Adams loses emergency power to spend freely on migrants. Now, what I want to know is what happens next. What happens next? And shout out to Lehman Lucas and shout out to Denise for being bot enforcers. This is bad for him. The New York City comptroller, Brad Lander is his name, revoked the mayor's blanket ability to enter city contracts to house and care for migrants. What that also implies is that implies that his spending needs to be supervised. That implies that he hasn't been spending the taxpayer money properly. We don't know if that's true or not, but that's what that looks like. What that looks like is you need to be chaperoned when you have spending ability. And that's a bad look. And also shout out to Brooklyn Queen for being a bot enforcer. Appreciate it. Would you guys agree? So right here it says Brad Lander Center said he would require that his office approve most of New York City's migrant crisis spending before the city enters into contracts. Okay. Basically, what that means is that he's probably going to review those contracts. And if those contracts don't meet a certain financial requirement or a certain requirement that he has, then those contracts are out of there. Those contracts are out of there, which basically means that Eric Adams no longer has the ability to be able to spend freely. Bad look for Eric Adams. Bad look for Eric Adams. You know what I'm saying? So now here says the New York City comptroller, Brad Lander, has restricted Mayor Eric Adams' ability to quickly spend hundreds of millions of dollars on the migrant crisis, a major blow to the mayor's emergency powers. Now, let me ask you guys this. Is this going to make it easier or more difficult for Mayor Eric Adams to manage this crisis that's going on in New York City, this invasion that's going on in New York City? If it's going to make it easier for him, give me a thumbs up. If it's going to make it harder for him, give me a thumbs down. That's my question for you guys. Mr. Adams, like several of his predecessors, has been given broad leeway to enter emergency contracts in times of crisis, including the C-19 pandemic and the current crush of migrants entering New York. But Lander had warned in September. Look at this. So he warned back in September. Mr. Lander had warned in September that he might rein in Mr. Adams' authority and withdraw his office's blanket prior approval of emergency contracts. He cited reporting by the New York Times and others about the city's dealing with a migrant crisis service contractor, DocGo, whose $432 million no-bid contract has been marked by scandal. Uh-oh. So now let me ask you guys this. Why would Eric Adams enter into a contract with a company that has a shady record like that? Why would Eric Adams enter into a contract with a company that has a shady record like that and not expect to get eyes on him? Shout out to Carla. What's good with it, Carla? I'm going to read this again. But Mr. Lander had warned in September, so there was warning of this already in September, that he might rein in Mr. Adams' authority and withdraw his office's blanket prior approval of emergency contracts. He cited reporting by the New York Times and others about the city's dealing with a migrant service contractor, DocGo, whose $432 million no-bid contract has been marked by scandal. How many people knew about the DocGo scandal? If you all knew about the DocGo scandal, give me a thumbs up. If you did not know about the DocGo scandal, give me a thumbs down. There's a lot of shade, mystery, a lot of too close for comfort, financial issues going on on Mayor Eric Adams' side of things. Would you guys agree? A little bit too much shade, if you ask me. A little bit too much. A little bit suspect. Now, am I saying that he's guilty? I don't know. But I just know that a lot of times if you're in proximity of some stuff and you're in proximity of that stuff all the time, it lends to someone having the fair ability to ask the question, well, what's the extent of your involvement? You know what I'm saying? Just saying. You know what I mean? Just saying. Not saying that he's guilty, not putting an indictment out on him, but it's just like you're around a lot, and everything that you're around seems to be ridden with some type of shade. So is it just a matter of time before we actually get a set of prints of yours on some of this stuff? You know what I'm saying? So now here it says in a letter dated Thursday, sent to all city agencies, Mr. Lander's office revealed that he hereby revoked his prior approval for migrant shelter and service contracts awarded after November 30th, and that future migrant spending would need to be first authorized by his office on a case-by-case basis. Now, let me ask you guys a question. When it comes to getting things done in these processes, is that going to speed things up, or is that going to slow things down? What's that going to do? Is that going to speed it up or slow it down? Let me know. Such deals will require an independent prior approval from the comptroller's office, his office said. The letter was previously reported by the Daily News, and Adams administration spokesperson Charles Kretschmer-Lutvak said on Monday that the comptroller was hamstringing the mayor's ability to quickly respond to the needs of many migrants still arriving in the city from the southern border. And that's what we said. That was going to make the turnaround time a lot slower. Yeah, it's going to definitely slow it down. Shout out to Erica. It's going to definitely slow it down. Shout out to Kathy. Thousands of new migrants are still coming into New York City every week, and the comptroller tying our hands behind our backs is unfair to both the new arrivals and longtime New Yorkers and will unquestionably slow down every step in the process, Mr. Lutvak said. He said the administration would continue to hold our contractors to the highest standards for providing care and services. Now, my question is, if they're actually holding these contractors to any kind of standards, why is it that when the contractors were involved in that shade with .go, that it wasn't detected? If you know what I'm saying, there should be some type of ethics standard. That's a standard, right? And if they're being shady, then that should have been detected, but it wasn't. So we got to ask the question, well, why wasn't it detected then? Mr. Lander said earlier this year that restricting the mayor's emergency spending powers on migrants would not affect the city's hospital system, a public benefit corporation that has numerous emergency contracts in place to handle the migrant influx. It would affect all agencies directly under the mayor, although some small contracts, such as those under 1.5 million, would still be exempt from competitive bidding rules. The move comes after Mr. Landers and Mr. Adams, who are both Democrats, had tussled over the administration's approval of the .go contract. So you see, Mr. Landers is a Democrat. Let me ask you guys this. Who's surprised that Mr. Landers is a Democrat? If you're surprised by that, then give me a thumbs up. If you're not surprised by that, then give me a thumbs down. Mr. Landers, our friend Mr. Landers, that decided to take away Mayor Eric Adams' authority, he is a Democrat. And real quick, shout out to everybody that's watching. We got 45 people watching, and now we got 40 likes. If we can get that 40 likes to 45, that would be great. Shout out to Torian Rain. What's good with it, bro? So now here it says in early September, Mr. Lander announced that he was rejecting the deal, the first time he had done so with an emergency contract over concerns about .go's qualifications and the problems cited in the news coverage. The mayor, however, has the power to override a comptroller's objections, and Mr. Adams said that the city would continue to honor the contract. 2 weeks later, Mr. Lander said he would begin an audit to determine how the city had come to award the no-bid contract to .go. which describes itself as a medical services firm and had no expertise in handling migrant services. So now we got to ask this question. How does a company that doesn't have any expertise in migrant services get a huge contract from the city that gives them payment for migrant services? How does that work? How does that work? Somebody make that make sense. Does that make any sense at all? Shout out to Mama Zeke. Shout out to Jago Derug. Shout out to Patricia Slade. Shout out to everybody that just came in. What's good with y'all? Somebody make that make sense. For months, city officials had refused to release the contract, giving New Yorkers little insight into how the money was being spent. The Times subsequently revealed some of the contract's details with the Department of Housing Preservation and Development. .go, for example, is allowed to turn a tidy profit from its largest single monthly expense, the hotel rooms housing the migrants. Under the contract, the city is required to pay the company a flat $170 per room per night. So if .go spends less on the hotel, it can keep the difference. Okay? So now remember when we were talking about this and I said probably what would be the most important thing for people to do to try to figure out who's benefiting the most from the situation is take a look at who's getting awarded the contracts for all of the services regarding the migrants. That right there is one of the reasons why people have that saying, never let a good crisis go to waste, because you can monetize crisis, and that's what people do. Okay? That's what we're seeing here. So now here it says the Times also reported on the company's use of deceptive work and residency documents, threats made by security guards working under its supervision, and numerous complaints from migrants in .go's care. On Thursday, Mr. Landers released a report criticizing what he called a lack of transparency and oversight, as the city has used emergency spending powers to dole out, get this, $1.7 billion in fast-tracked contracts from January 2022 to September 30th of this year. About 80% of the spending, or $1.4 billion, was for migrant services. Okay, so I'm just going to take a quick glance at this report real quick. Yeah, this report might actually end up being content. How many people want to go in a in-depth look at this report? If you guys want to look at an in-depth look at this report, then give me a thumbs up in the comment section. If you guys do not want an in-depth look at this report, then give me a thumbs down. Okay? Let me see. Yeah, because they go into detail here, and I think that this is something that people would be interested in. Let me see. Yeah, and this entire thing here would be a stream, because it's a lot of information here. It's not too much information. It's not overwhelming, but it's too much information for me to not do it in one stream. So that would be something that we'd have to do. Maybe I could do that tomorrow morning or something like that. I had something else planned, but if y'all want it bad enough, I'll give it to you. You know what I'm saying? That's how easy I am. You want it bad enough, I'll give it to you. All right, let's check this out real quick. Oh, you know what? Actually, we watched this already, I think. Mayor Adams loses emergency migrant crisis access. Yeah, we looked at this already. Actually, did we? No, I think this is actually a different report. Let's check this out.
Political turf war after the city controller Bradlander strips Mayor Adams of his emergency powers to approve contracts related to the migrant crisis.
Fox 5's Morgan McKay joins us now in studio. And Morgan, the mayor says that it's going to be hard to give migrants the services that they need.
He did, Stephen Natasha. And Mayor Eric Adams' administration says that they need this capability to act quickly, especially with more migrants arriving every week. Just last week, more than 3,600 migrants arrived here in the city, a spike that we haven't seen in a while. The comptroller Bradlander says this won't stop Adams from doing what needs to be done. It will just make sure taxpayer money is being spent appropriately.
There's just too many holes in the way that City Hall was using that blanket permission.
New York City Comptroller Bradlander says that his office has stripped Mayor Eric Adams' emergency powers that allows him to make deals with contractors for migrant services without prior approval. Lander pointed to a series of missteps, saying that the mayor's office failed to report subcontractors in certain cases and at times was late in submitting contracts.
The $432 million .go contract with subcontractors that don't have the appropriate licenses for their security firms. And
So this is interesting, right? The .go contract, they didn't even have the appropriate licenses to be able to do the work that they were hired to do. And shout out to Vincent. What's good with it? What do you guys think about this? Here's my question. So nobody knew about the corruption involved with this .go contract? And real quick, ladies and gentlemen, shout out to everybody that's watching. We got 55 people watching and we got 48 likes. If we can get the likes up to 80, that'd be great.
with subcontractors that don't have the appropriate licenses for their security firms, in some cases paying hotels way above what we're paying others. But that blanket approval that's been letting them do whatever they want is not in the best interest of New Yorkers.
Now, how it worked before this was under the mayor's emergency powers, his administration could make a deal with an outside contractor for things such as laundry services for migrants, or to rent a small to medium-sized hotel to house migrants. After that, the contract will get sent to the comptroller's office for final approval. However, now, with this clawback, this contract will first have to go to Lander's office for approval before the mayor's office can act. The mayor's administration says this is going to cause significant delays.
This is an emergency that requires sometimes emergency spending. We don't know how many migrants Texas is going to send us or whoever else.
More than 3,600 migrants arrived in New York City just last week, and Adams officials worry that the spike in arrivals will only continue to grow. Adams took a jab at Lander, saying that he would have hoped Lander's trip to D.C. a few weeks ago to speak with federal leaders about the migrant crisis would have produced more results.
He went to D.C. 20 months later, and he came back with tying our hands. That's just sort of defies logic to me. So I'm a little disappointed that when he turned from D.C., he didn't come back with any real answers on this is a national problem.
Now, Mayor Adams is also headed to D.C. on Thursday. Adams wouldn't give too many details on his upcoming trip, but did admit he still hasn't spoken with the president since late last year.
So it's all bad. You know what I'm saying? It's all bad for your boy hip-hop Mayor Eric Adams. You know what I'm saying? And it's about to get bad for your boy Brandon Johnson. Oh, yeah. Brandon Johnson and JB Pritzker are not seeing eye to eye these days. How many people have heard about that? If you guys have heard about the interesting differences of opinion that Brandon Johnson and JB Pritzker have, then please give me a thumbs up in the comment section. If you guys have not heard about that, then give me a thumbs down. And where it all started is Brighton Park. Now, let me ask you guys a question. Where are the differences in opinions coming from in regards to Brighton Park? And now, again, like I said, if you ask me, people really need to be paying very close attention to how Brighton Park is handled. And the reason why people need to be really careful and pay very close attention to how Brighton Park is handled is because if you ask me, the incidents going on with Brighton Park could cause future consequences for the people in Munson Park. People need to keep their head on a swivel, if you ask me. So let's check this out.
Prevail. The residents won the case.
He's talking about a controversial migrant encampment on the city's southwest side. It's been shut down for good.
Governor Pritzker making that final call today after state experts uncovered serious environmental concerns.
Casey Cronus is in Brighton Park.
Now, you guys remember, right? We talked about Brighton Park. There was a 2-part miniseries that we did on Brighton Park. How many people saw that? If you guys saw that, give me a thumbs up. If you guys did not see it, give me a thumbs down. One of the things that we talked about in the 2-part miniseries about Brighton Park was the chemical levels that everyone knew about on the land. Everybody knew that that land was contaminated with hazardous materials. There's hazmat material contamination all over Brighton Park. Okay. Now, Mayor Brandon Johnson went on and made a contract with a company to put up a migrant encampment there. The city then had to do an inspection of the land. And when the land was inspected, contaminants and heavy metals were found. Initially, the okay was given to go ahead and continue with the project. What happened after that is the question. What happened after that is where you will see the differences lie between J.B. Pritzker and Brandon Johnson. So let's check this out.
Residents prevail. The residents won the case.
He's talking about a controversial migrant encampment on the city's southwest side. It's been shut down for good.
Governor Pritzker making that final call today after state experts uncovered serious environmental concerns.
Okay, so now I want to make sure that you guys caught that. Did you catch it? Any operations going on involving Brighton Park have been shut down indefinitely, and it was shut down by the governor. It was shut down by J.B. Pritzker. Now, remember, Brandon Johnson was going to go ahead and move forward with it. Not happening anymore. J.B. Pritzker has stepped in front of the line and said this isn't going down anymore. How many people knew that that had occurred? If you guys were aware that that had occurred, give me a thumbs up. If you were not aware that that occurred, then give me a thumbs down. If you weren't aware, now you know. That happened. Okay? That happened.
Migrant encampment on the city's southwest side. It's been shut down for good.
Governor Pritzker making that final call today after state experts uncovered serious environmental concerns.
Casey Cronus is in Brighton Park with the latest.
Officials say toxic chemicals like mercury and arsenic discovered in the soil were not addressed in ways that meet state standards. This bombshell development is a major setback for the Johnson administration, but for many residents, it is a win.
This was known by the city of Chicago. There's institutional knowledge. Now we've learned how contaminated this is.
24 hours after Governor Pritzker paused construction on the city's first winterized tent city, the operation.
So you see how J.B. Pritzker got to slide in there and present himself as some type of humanitarian hero. Remember that? And shout out to Black Spider. Black Spider said, remember I told you, BLR, that when they moved the dirt, people would start to get sick. And that's exactly what happened to construction workers. Yeah. So now it looks like J.B. Pritzker is creating this mirage as if he's saving people from Brandon Johnson, which he's not. He's just using a chess move to get himself a little bit more trust with the people who already are having issues with what's going on there. If you guys can see the move that J.B. Pritzker is pulling, then give me a thumbs up. If you guys cannot see the move that J.B. Pritzker is pulling, then give me a thumbs down.
Came to a sudden halt.
It's not even safe for them. It's not safe for them.
An attorney for the residents who have been warning officials about the toxic soil from the start says up until now they were blatantly ignored.
That is incompetence. That is,
and they were blatantly ignored. That's not a false statement. We've actually seen videos with the little we've seen immigrants, the little immigrants from Brighton Park. And I'm not talking about the undocumented bros. I'm talking about the first generation bros of Brighton Park, because that's an immigrant community. We saw all of them in broken English screaming about the contamination on news articles, you know what I'm saying, on videos from Fox 32, ABC 5, I think it is. We saw videos of. So they've actually been saying this, and they have indeed been being ignored. Shout out to Black Lightning and shout out to John Guillory. What's good with y'all? They've been being ignored, just like how the black people in Munson Park were being ignored. Everybody's being ignored when it comes to Chicago. But what's interesting about it is that J.B. Pritzker is paying attention to Brandon Johnson. So if you ask me, this is the beginning stages of Brandon Johnson's fall from grace. This is the beginning of Brandon Johnson's fall from grace, if you ask me. Like, rest in peace, Prodigy said, it's the start of your ending.
Were blatantly ignored.
That is incompetence. That is brutal ignorance. That is putting the migrants in danger. It's putting the residents in danger. And when they were doing construction, that was all going up into the air.
In reviewing a nearly 800-page report, the Illinois Environmental Protection Agency identified several concerns with the city's sampling and remediation work, calling it insufficient. In response, the mayor's office says the state was aware of its assessments, yet didn't provide additional guidance. Still, community members are blasting.
I mean, some things are just common sense. What kind of guidance do you need if it says that there's mercury and arsenic there, which there were, and it says it right in the report? What kind of guidance do you need? Let me ask you guys a question. If I told you guys that there's mercury and arsenic at toxic levels in the building that you live in, do you all need me to further provide you information as to what to do, or are you going to stop what you're doing and get out now? You know what I'm saying? Like, seriously, when you hear the words toxic levels of mercury, or when you hear the words toxic level of arsenic, what else do you need to hear? What further guidance is necessary for you? Yeah, exactly. Facts. If you guys agree with Brooklyn Queen, give me a thumbs up. If y'all disagree with her, give me a thumbs down. I'm out. Give me a thumbs up because I agree with her. I'm gone. You ain't got to tell me twice. Goodbye.
In response, the mayor's office says the state was aware of its assessments, yet didn't provide additional guidance. Still, community members are blasting Mayor Brandon Johnson.
Like that dude told Blade, I support you, bruh, but I catch the rest on CNN. Facts.
Wasteful spending, he did this on his own, and now the taxpayer has to suffer the consequence.
Now, the state says it is going back to the drawing board and will reconsider housing migrants in a shuttered CVS in Little Village. 200 beds would be available there. The governor is also working with the Archdiocese of Chicago to explore other options. It is still unclear what will happen with the city's lease on the land and all of the equipment. Meantime, the number of migrants still waiting for shelter placement now hovers around 600. Reporting in Brighton Park, Casey Cronis, Fox 32, Chicago.
All right, so yeah, like I told you, Brighton Park, very interesting situation going on there, which is one of the reasons why that situation was so complicated. It needed its own little mini series. All right, so if you guys haven't seen the Brighton Park 2-part series, if you want to watch it, you can watch it. Situation's over now. You know what I'm saying? New stuff popping off. But check the title on this here. Yeah, Brandon got the entourage, don't he, Dave? Tensions arise between Governor Pritzker and Chicago Mayor Johnson as city deals with migrant crisis. Ooh, goody, juicy. You know what I'm saying? Goody, goody, goody. Juicy, juicy, juicy. Shout out to my man Win Loser Rug. What's good with it, bro? I almost didn't recognize you without the you know what I'm saying, without the usual avatar. And real quick, ladies and gentlemen, make sure you guys show some love to Dora Malahi. I hope I said that right. Malaji with the $10 super chat. Definitely appreciate it. Please make sure you guys show her some love. Throw some radiation emoji in the chat. You guys already know, without you all, I can't do this. So shout out to you all. And I don't know what happened to AB Promotions had gave a super chat also, and it disappeared on how it keeps track of them in StreamYards. But shout out to everybody that's contributed so far. We got 3 stream sponsors. Definitely appreciate you guys. Let's check this out. What kind of tensions do you all think are going on between Pritzker and Johnson? Sound like a law firm, doesn't it? Pritzker and Johnson. You know what I'm saying? You had to switch it up, huh? It's all good. We get used to it. Shout out to Lloyd Sky 9. What's good with it, bro?
As the city remained optimistic this camp could be salvaged, it was actually a late morning news release from the governor announcing the plan had been scrubbed.
CBS 2 political reporter Chris Ty has been digging into how this all played out politically and what it may signal about the relationship between the mayor and governor.
And so I'm going to continue to move as quickly as I possibly can.
With migrant headcounts rising and temperatures falling, a mayor hoping for speed instead hit with the political chill from Springfield. Just one day after.
Now, it's interesting how both mayors, right, Brandon Johnson and Eric Adams, both mayors have literally gotten stopped dead in their tracks. Does anybody notice that? Immediate stoppage. Boom, right in your tracks. You're done. If you guys notice that, give me a thumbs up. If y'all don't notice that, then give me a thumbs down. Yeah, they done. They done. Stopped right in the tracks. It's ove. It's ove, like them folks say. You know what I'm saying?
We're hoping for a green light at Brighton Park. The governor signaled it was red. In a midday press release, Governor Pritzker wrote, "We will not proceed with housing families on a site where serious environmental concerns are still present."
Now, let me ask you guys a question. Do you think that JB No Neck Pritzker contacted Brandon Johnson before making this announcement? Or do you guys think that JB Pritzker just stepped in front of the line and didn't even think about Brandon Johnson, just exercised his authority? Let me know what you guys think. And I got to agree with New York State of Mind. Shout out to New York State of Mind. New York State of Mind says Adams and Johnson don't realize these white Democrats will set them up to fail. I agree with that. If you guys agree with New York State of Mind 22, give me a thumbs up in the comment section. If y'all disagree, give me a thumbs down. Now, here's my question. These people have been in politics for all of these years. If they haven't been watching and paying attention and seeing how Democrats set people up, what the hell have they been doing? And if they fail to recognize, do you all feel that they deserve whatever fate comes to them? Let me know what y'all think.
My administration remains committed to a data-driven plan to improve the asylum seeker response, and we will continue to coordinate with the city of Chicago as we work to expand available shelter through winter.
The state of Illinois went into a contract with Garda World building on this site, knowing full well that assessments were being handled.
The relations between Brandon Johnson and Governor Pritzker are a little tense. They're not on the same page.
They're a little tense, not on the same page. Uh-oh. He sure does. How many people have seen the video that I made called Pritzker Family Business? If you guys have seen that video, give me a thumbs up. If you guys have not seen that video, give me a thumbs down. If you haven't seen the video called Pritzker Family Business, it's worth watching.
Knowing full well that assessments were being handled.
The relations between Brandon Johnson and Governor Pritzker are a little tense. They're not on the same page. The city needs more money. The state has less to give. So there's tension.
Retired UIC political science professor Dick Simpson says the city and state being out of step with each other isn't uncommon and usually more acute when they're from different parties.
There's always some tension because they each have a different agenda and they each have a different set of timetables and a different set of resources.
As the question over where the resources should move to after now being sent from Brighton Park, the mayor was asked 3 times for a specific plan B, but never gave a firm location.
As other folks have asked for plan B, I've been planning for plan B, C, and D, and F, E, and F from the very moment that I became the mayor of the city of Chicago.
So he's been planning for all these different plans, but when asked about a plan, he doesn't have one. Okay.
In the end, it was the state EPA saying that the Brighton Park location did not meet the standards for residential use. At a downstate press conference on Tuesday, Governor Pritzker said the state, while we help with funding, we don't pick the sites. That is up to cities. In the newsroom, Chris Ty, CBS 2 News.
Now, see, we said that, right? We literally said that it was what was going to happen. And it did. So now here's my question. What's next for JB Pritzker and what's next for Brandon Johnson? We already know what's next for Brighton Park. Nothing. I'll tell you what, a lot of those construction workers, like Black Spider was saying, a lot of those construction workers, if you ask me, they're probably going to be filing lawsuits in the next couple of years as a result of some, cancers or malignancies that might develop or that might, come to surface. You know what I'm saying? And shout out to Cannon Hotep. What's good with it, bro? And I'm gonna have to take a look for it, Edward, because it's in a playlist somewhere. And once I find it, I'll definitely share it into the chat, or I will share it on the community post so you guys can check it out.
Right now, Mayor Brighton Johnson and his team are scrambling for a backup plan after the state's lead environmental agency ruled that his long-awaited migrant base camp was no longer a safe option. Base camp construction stops here. Tuesday, Illinois' Environmental Protection Agency intervened, saying this massive military-grade tent erected in a matter of days is sitting on potentially toxic soil. Put simply, the governor's office wrote, "We will not proceed with housing families on a site where serious environmental concerns are still present." Brighton Park residents have railed against this site for weeks and sought court intervention as work crews laid gravel and spun up soil.
It was incompetence. It was poor communication. It's poor planning. It's poor management. It's a waste of money.
Late Friday night, a long-awaited environmental assessment revealed the dirt is laden with at least some levels of mercury and other chemicals. The neighborhood's alderwoman is confounded.
That's why I had advocated that the environmental assessment be put out prior to any decision making, and that didn't happen last week.
The state of Illinois knew that this assessment.
See that? Now, if you guys watch all of the old videos, if you guys watch Brighton Park 1 and 2, we literally asked about all of this stuff. We literally asked about all of this stuff because, like we've been saying, the city knows about this. They knew about this. The residents were even complaining about it on the news. The Chicago Tribune has written multiple articles about this. The Chicago Sun-Times has written multiple articles about this. But they just ignored it. Now, here's my question. How do you get on two completely different pages like this? And shout out to everybody that's watching. We got 70 people watching. If you guys could take a moment and smash the like button, please take a moment and smash that like button. Also, if you have not shared the stream to your social media, please make sure you guys share the stream to your social media. And if you know somebody from New York or Chicago or any one of these places that's dealing with an undocumented bro infestation, make sure that you guys tag them in the tweet or the share.
Environmental assessment be put out prior to any decision making, and that didn't happen last week.
The state of Illinois knew that this assessment was happening. And
Torian said, have you had to deal with any undocumented bros or sis in your city? Nah. But from what I heard, though, I heard that Cleveland was supposed to be taking in migrants, which is going to be really interesting because they probably got a lot of room because there's a ton of vacant buildings in Cleveland. But I don't know how that's going to go down. I honestly, I bet you the migrants wouldn't even want to come, to be honest, for real. If they had if they have a choice of going to Cleveland, Chicago, or New York, nobody's coming to Cleveland. You know what I'm saying? Ain't nobody coming to Cleveland. Yeah, he do. That's a great analogy. Yo, if y'all agree with Torian that Brandon Johnson looks like a stegosaurus, give me a thumbs up. If y'all disagree, give me a thumbs down. He definitely looks like a stegosaurus. He looks like a stegosaurus head with a goat face. You know what I'm saying? Oh, yeah, and y'all can follow me on Stereo if y'all want to. I didn't mean to do that, though.
Confident enough to continue to build on this site and to go into a contract with GardaWorld. The state did not provide any additional guidelines or any sort of methodology in which they were requiring us to go by.
Governor Pritzker speaking just before his environmental experts ruled the Brighton Park site too hazardous for migrants, said.
Shout out to Akron Zippy. Akron Zippy said, did you know Kent, Ohio is a sanctuary city? I could see them sending some migrants to Kent, and they would take they would take care of them migrants good in Kent. They would take care of them migrants. Them migrants. yo, Zippy, you know, them migrants would get treated like kings and queens if they went to Kent. Oh, they would get set up. They'd get a free education. You know what I'm saying? They'd be going to the bar. They'd be getting 99-cent wings on Tuesday nights. Them migrants would be getting treated like kings and queens in Kent. You know what I'm saying? They ain't going up to they're not going to Akron though. You know what I'm saying? If they come to them migrants gonna come to Akron and run everywhere else once they get to Akron. You know what I'm saying? They're gonna get robbed, beat up, all kind of shit if they come to Akron. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, Rhonda, I did hear that. If you actually if you look it up, type in migrant crisis Cleveland, Ohio, there's a article, I believe it's from WKYC, you know, Leon Bibb, his channel, and they did a segment about it. You know what I'm saying? And real quick, ladies and gentlemen, shout out to Black Spider with the $10 super sticker. Please make sure you guys throw some radiation emoji in the chat and show her some love. Yeah, bro, you already know. Them migrants, they're going to be running all up and down VO, them dodging bullets and everything else. Mess around, get lost over on Cole Street or South Street. They done. They're not coming to Akron. They're not coming to Akron. They're not coming to Canton. They're not coming to Youngstown. Their best bet is to go to either Columbus or their best bet is to go to Kent. Go to Kent. You're gonna get treated like a king or a queen in Kent. Don't go anywhere else in Northeast Ohio, man. They're gonna want to go somewhere else. And it's too cold up here. You know what I'm saying? Like it's gonna be all bad. It's gonna be all bad. Send them to Coshocton or some shit.
We don't pick the sites in a city, right? The city has sites that it has made available. This is the one that they had pointed to and wanted to make sure that we focused on. These are for asylum seekers.
Now the state will help expedite a brick and mortar shelter at a former CVS pharmacy in Little Village.
We're very open for specialized populations, pregnant mothers and children with special needs, potentially.
Shout out to Kid Gravity. What's good with it, bro?
Barely a fraction of the
Hey, make sure y'all throw some flames in the chat for Kid Gravity. Oh, and also for Torian. Torian hit a milestone. How many subscribers did you get, Torian? 65,000, I want to say. And shout out to Kid Gravity for reaching 3K. Make sure y'all throw some flames in the chat for both of them and get them some congratulations.
The 2,000 migrants who were set to make a home at this partially built base camp. Tonight, neither the governor nor Mayor Johnson have said yet what will become of that Brighton Park site. Mayor Johnson had hoped to start moving thousands of migrants in by mid-December.
So yeah, and this is what I'm saying, man. Brandon Johnson was extremely aggressive. He was extremely aggressive with trying to get that Brighton Park site handled and done so that he could start moving migrants in there. And it's not happening. You know what I'm saying? And real quick, shout out to MC with the $1.99 super chat. MC says the mayor looks like a slee stack, man. That's wild. I made a meme with him next to a Hershey's Kiss, how it's pointed on top. That's just crazy if you walking around with your head pointed on top, looking like a cone head. You know what I'm saying? So I did have an article from Axios, but I don't think I'm going to read it because we've given Brighton Park a lot of attention. You know what I'm saying? Like we know what's going on with Brighton Park. But Mayor Eric Adams, I don't know if he's doing not Mayor Eric Adams, but Mayor Brandon Johnson. I don't know if he's going to start a YouTube channel or what. He actually has a YouTube channel and has got under 1,000 subscribers, but he's doing reaction videos now. Did you guys know that? If you guys knew that Brandon Johnson was doing reaction videos, give me a thumbs up. I could actually see his reaction channel doing very well on YouTube because he's got that thumbnail friendly face. You know how like to have a reaction channel, you got to just look like you're surprised all the time or be able to make crazy wild faces on the thumbnail and people see it. You got your hands on your cheeks looking like Macaulay Culkin on Home Alone. Brandon Johnson's normal facial expression looks like that. You know what I'm saying? Brandon Johnson's normal facial expression looks like that. So encore, we're going to listen to Brandon Johnson's first reaction video in his YouTube career. And I want you guys to grade it as you listen to what he says, okay? And real quick, ladies and gentlemen, we got 70 people watching. Shout out to y'all and thank you all for being here. And we got 68 likes. If everybody can take a moment, smash that like button and get us over 100, that'd be great. And also, don't forget, stay in the stream afterwards and it'll take you right into the premiere window for the next stream that'll be starting shortly after. Okay, so let me pull this up. We already starting off bad. Look at him looking crazy. Look at him looking crazy, man. I know somebody really needs to. Brandon, come here. We need to talk about your haircut. We really do need to talk about your haircut.
You got it as well. Brighton Park's a no-go. I mean, first of all, give us a reaction and What would be the plan B now that you can't use this site?
Yeah, well, first of all, the mission is still very much alive. I've said from the very beginning, especially as winter is approaching and weather is shifting, is to get people out of police stations, women, children sleeping on the floors, those who are sleeping outside, to remove people from police districts. And we've been doing that work. In fact, I believe the latest number that I have, there were almost 4,000 people in police districts as well as the airport. That number is now down to under 500. And so that work continues because of the type of collaboration that we're bringing. And look, this site, when the state of Illinois took control over this contract, going into this agreement with Garda World, they fully understood that we were providing the necessary assessments to take a look at the environmental dynamics that exist, that we figured because of bad toxicity and bad policies over the course of generations, that discovering toxicity there wasn't a surprise. And so as we were going through that process, the state of Illinois continued to build this base camp, knowing full well that we.
He said the state of Illinois continued to build it. Wasn't that the city that was behind building that? What does he mean the state of Illinois continued to build it? Wasn't that his thing in the city? Let me ask you guys this question. Is Brandon Johnson being honest here, or is he being very misleading in this interview?
Providing this assessment. And so all of what we have done up until this point, continuing to bring people together, the state of Illinois knew that this assessment was happening and felt confident enough to continue to build on this site and to go into a contract with Garda World. Now, look, there's been third-party validators that have indicated, Dr. Buchanan is one of them, the University of Illinois at Chicago, that this site is safe. The state did not provide any additional guidelines or any sort of methodology in which they were requiring us to go by. So we use the standards that were available to us. The site has been substantiated being safe by third-party validators. And again, the contract that the state of Illinois went into with Garda World, as they continue to build out on this site, there was no indication throughout this entire process that a standard or a different methodology was preferable by the state of Illinois. Now, as far as our plan is still very much alive. As I said, that as we continue to remove people out of police districts, that assignment that I've given to my administration, we're working through that. And again, from 4,000 people that were sleeping outside or in police districts and an airport, we've reduced that number significantly down to 500, and we're going to continue to assess sites because the mission.
Yeah, I gotta agree. If you guys agree with Lloyd Sky 9, give me a thumbs up. If you guys disagree with Lloyd Sky 9, give me a thumbs down. I agree. And I also agree with Carla. Nobody is being honest except for the legal citizens. That's a huge fact.
Is still very much alive. We have to make sure that this migrant crisis and this mission, as you all know, is an international crisis. In fact, we have to continue to plan ahead. It's imperative. This time last year, between November and December, 8 buses came. Between 2 months this time last year. We've received over 80 buses alone just in the month of November. And so it's clear that, forces that want to continue to send people to the city of Chicago, that have always been clear that we have to be forthright and plan ahead. And that's what we're going to continue to do.
So, Mayor, an outdoor encampment, whether it's at Brighton Park or the one at 115th and Halstead, you're still on that mission of finding an outdoor encampment.
Well, what our mission is to make sure that we are removing people off of the floors of police stations. And so we're still looking at brick and mortar. And this assignment, as I put forth several months ago, where the base camp was an option for us to be able to address this crisis. That's the leadership that's required in this moment. That's the leadership that I provided. So it's not just base camps. It's the continuous work to work with the faith community as we've done, but also to look at brick and mortar spaces. But we have to plan ahead. And part of that planning is looking at base camps. Yep.
Well, here goes my thing. If you had to plan ahead, then why did you even assume that the Brighton Park encampment designated area would even be viable? Literally everybody knew that was contaminated, and yet Brandon Johnson on his own accord tried to push that through. That to me doesn't scream good leadership. I'm just saying. That to me screams shady, and that also to me screams incompetent. You know what I'm saying? If you guys agree with that, then give me a thumbs up. If y'all disagree, give me a thumbs down.
Mayor, was it a mistake to not be more forthright with what was found at that site? Because the report makes it clear that the testers were aware that there were mercury and other issues there in mid-November. So
See?
Could your administration have not shared that?
See, so, and we talked about that. They're talking about how they knew that there were chemical issues there way back in November. We pulled up the articles on the last stream that we did about this. So make it make sense. Why did they go ahead on with these efforts when they literally knew about each and every single one of these problems? Make it make sense.
Mistake to not be more forthright with what was found at that site, because the report makes it clear that the testers were aware that there were mercury and other issues there in mid-November. So could your administration have not shared that sooner, and we could have moved on from this location?
Well,
sooner? Is that a misstep on your part?
Well, the agreement is with a private entity, so there are different processes that take place when it's a private space, right? Now, if it just hold on a second, okay? I appreciate you being patient. I really do. This private space and this agreement that the state of Illinois went into.
Not Eric Adams, but yo, let me ask y'all this. Brandon Johnson is extremely passive aggressive. Would you guys agree? If you guys agree, give me a thumbs up. If you guys disagree, give me a thumbs down. Shout out to Abdul Khalifa. Abdul Khalifa says the son of a Christian preacher would put pregnant mothers and children in a toxic waste site. No comment, but I feel you. No comment, but I feel you.
With Garda World, that because it is a private space, that there are processes and procedures that apply differently than a publicly owned space. What we've said all along, we've always been forthright that we were testing for environmental hazards. That was never a question of what our work entailed. And so, as I said, that we would make that report available based upon the guidelines and standards, the legal standards that are established in order for that information to be made available. I've kept my word. That report is available throughout that entire process as the state went into an agreement with Garda World to build this site. There was no discussions along the way throughout this entire process that the methodology that we were using or the standard and the guidelines that we were using established by the Illinois Environmental Protection Agency, that there was no additional information that was provided that would have led us to believe that this particular report that has been validated to be safe by third parties, that somehow that operation will be halted.
Mayor, we haven't heard you state what your plan B is. What's plan B?
The plan is.
I told you how much y'all want to bet he does not have a plan B. You see how he did that? Look, y'all see how he did that base head lip smack? If y'all caught the base head lip smack, give me a thumbs up. If y'all didn't, then give me a thumbs down. He don't have no plan B. This is what we were talking about before. These people are liars. His only plan, his plan that he had, his one and only plan was to throw all them people like sardines in a damn can in that Brighton Park migrant encampment. And now that he don't have it, he don't have no damn plan either. And he about to get exposed right here. You're gonna be sitting there smacking his lips, smacking his lips like he got some Wrigley spearmint gum in there.
Mayor, we haven't heard you state what your plan B is. What's plan B?
The plan is consistent with what I've been implementing from the very beginning. Here's the plan: to eliminate police districts as grounds for shelter. That has always been the plan.
That's called an end goal. So I want you guys to pay very close attention. What he's trying to do is he's trying to use the goal, right? Like, what if somebody asked me, well, how do I plan to pay my bills? Well, I plan to get rich. Getting rich has always been my plan. No, dude. What are the steps? What are the bullet points of means to get you to an end? This is what I'm talking about how these people talk to people like they're stupid. Shout out to David Brown. Facts. If he had a plan, then there would have been the time. Exactly. Also, if there was a plan, the plan would be in motion right now. That's how a backup plan works. A backup plan works where the backup plan activates immediately after the primary plan either is halted or the primary plan fails. There is no backup plan. Shout out to Dr. Grant with the symptoms assessment. He says his mouth is dry because he's nervous. Leads to mouth smacking. Facts. Oh man, too bad he smacked his mouth with his lips instead of somebody smacking it with his hand with a hand.
And that plan has consisted of finding brick and mortar locations, which we have stood up a new location darn near every single week. And mind you, that the international crisis that I've inherited, that the previous city council did not budget this particular operation for 2023. So we literally had to find brick and mortar locations, create a budget and an entire operation essentially from scratch. And so whether it's base camps at multiple sites, whether it's the faith community, whether it's the federal government, the state, county government, I have brought together all of these forces to address this crisis. Our plan is still the same, that we have to make sure that the federal government does its part to provide support for these individuals who are asylum seekers protected by international law. The state of Illinois went into a contract with Garda World building on this site, knowing full well that assessments were being handled. And keep in mind, whether it's brick and mortar spots, base camps, there's a location that I know that you all are reporting on, an old CVS, I believe it was. That was a site that the state of Illinois was looking at 6 months ago. I'm moving with incredible expediency. We can't wait 6 months before a decision is made in order for a site to be made available for a crisis that's happening today. And so my plan, I just want to make sure that I'm thorough, because I know that some of you have expressed some concerns that perhaps I'm not as thorough enough. So I want to be thorough enough that the plan is still to make sure that individuals who are being bused to the city of Chicago from a variety of cities, that they are not living outside and they're not living in police districts. And so far, the 4,000 at the height of those coming to the city of Chicago are being sent here. That number is no longer.
They shouldn't even be in Chicago, man. Like, they need to be going back to where they're from after being prosecuted by U.S. Customs and Immigration Services if they've entered the country illegally. It's amazing to me how when they talk about all of this stuff and they talk about all these solutions and they talk about all these plans, the talk of actually dealing with the laws that have been broken is not even something that's discussed at all. Shout out to Cannon Hotep. Cannon Hotep says he's going to get a scandal leveled on him soon. I would not be surprised, bro. If you guys agree with Cannon, give me a thumbs up. If you guys disagree, give me a thumbs down.
4,000. We have methodically, we have with dignity, we have done this with care to remove people out of police districts, off of floors, out from the inclement weather.
This dude is a clown. And real quick, ladies and gentlemen, we got 74 people watching. Shout out to all 74 people. I appreciate each and every one of you guys. You guys could be anywhere, but you decided to come here, and I definitely appreciate it and hope you stay. If you haven't subscribed to the channel yet, please take a moment, hit the bell icon twice, share the stream to your social media. Also, make sure that you all hit my backup channels. All right. Definitely appreciate it.
Into brick and mortar spaces, as well as looking at how we plan ahead. And base camps are a part of that planning, just like brick and mortar is a part of that planning, just like resettlement is a part of that planning, just like challenging other villages, because this is a sanctuary state. Other villages like Oak Park, which has stepped up and they have taken on individuals who are seeking asylum in the city of Chicago, that this crisis clearly is not going anywhere anytime soon.
Mayor, you talked about expediency as a concern. How frustrated were you when you learned the news from the state today that maybe there isn't as full transparency between the two government agencies as you might have hoped?
Well, look, I've made this commitment that as mayor of the city of Chicago, I know what my responsibilities are. And I've been very forthright about those responsibilities. And working with the county government and President Pritzker and I, we have shared and we've exchanged ideas. You know that she went to her legislative body, just like I went to my legislative body, and she has secured $100 million for healthcare related services. The state of Illinois, as well as my administration, have been in constant communication around how we address this crisis. Look, there's a lot of pressure that's being applied. And that pressure, quite frankly, is coming from individuals who want to see discord and chaos in the city. And so I'm going to continue to move as quickly as I possibly can, as I've done these first 6.5 months in office.
Yeah, I got to agree. He is extremely dishonest. Extremely dishonest. This dude is one of the most crooked, dishonest, two-faced, lying politicians that there are. The people in Chicago are not outraged enough, if you ask me. There should be high levels of outrage regarding this moron here. But first, those people need to really take a deep introspection and ask themselves, why did they vote for him? I'm going to ask you guys this question. Why did they vote for him? Why did anybody vote for him? If anybody's in question as to how I felt about Brandon Johnson, you can look at my old videos about Brandon Johnson. But we can sum it up. I was not a fan of his at all. But clearly he had enough fans to vote for him and put him in office. And it was the people of those communities that are upset that were the ones that checked off the Brandon Johnson box. So my question is, what got into their head and made them think that out of everybody that was running in that race, that he was the premier candidate? People, no, literally, like, nobody has been talking about that. But let me ask you guys this. Is a politician like Brandon Johnson getting in office an epic fail? Now, nobody put him in office except for those people. So those people epically failed to choose a representative who would have their own interest in mind. They need to get held to task to that, just the same way that Brandon Johnson needs to get held to task for being a piece of crap. A lot of people don't like it when people get held to task. But it doesn't matter what people like. I bet you they like getting held to task more than they like what's going on now. Bet you they like getting held to task more than they would like, oh, guess what? This baseball field that was about to get used for your kids is about to get used for some undocumented bros. You know what I'm saying? No, I'm just saying. Shout out to Deneen. What's good with it, Deneen?
I only have we've set up contracts, renegotiating these contracts so that we are providing safe.
Shout out to Al. What's good with it, Al?
We have established brick and mortar locations. We have explored the base camp model and a whole host of other dynamics that provide us with the type of infrastructure and operations that are needed to fulfill this mission. And so my commitment is to continue to work with the state of Illinois, the federal government, the county government, and the faith community to address this mission and this crisis.
Is there another base camp location? Is there another basic camp location that could replace 38th and Brighton Park that you've got in mind that you could shift gears to working with the state to start moving quickly because of the weather and the need?
There are multiple sites that we've looked at. You all are aware that
I knew that he wasn't going to answer, and the reason why he's not answering is because they don't have a substitute site to put in place of where Brighton Park was going to be. You know what I'm saying? Real quick, ladies and gentlemen, make sure you guys show Lloyd Sky 9 some love. Please throw some flames and radiation emoji in the chat for him with the $5 super chat. Definitely appreciate it. Lloyd Sky 9 says, just look at the age of the voters and you have your answer. They put voting booths in retiree homes where many boomers are ignorant to this. I agree, bro. I agree. If you guys agree with Lloyd Sky 9, give me a thumbs up. If you guys disagree, give me a thumbs down. I agree with that 100%.
We had an entire ordinance and resolution centered around 115th and Halsted. And this is why leadership is important, because so what I guess what I'm trying to offer is this. If you just give me a chance to answer the question, is that whether it's 115th and
the entire interview was a chance for you to answer the question, clown. Oh man, oh Lord have mercy, man.
Idiots! I'm surrounded by incompetent idiots!
Oh man, this is ridiculous.
What kind of shit is that?
Halsted that has already been identified. As other folks have asked for Plan B, I've been planning for Plan B, C, and D, and F, E, and F from the very moment that I became the mayor of the city of Chicago. And so whether it's 115th in Halsted or 38th in California or any other brick and mortar location that we've identified that can serve the purpose of this mission, know that my administration is planning ahead. So thank you all very much.
Thank you. Thank you, man.
Oh man, he just ran up out of there. He just them questions was getting a little bit too hot for him. You know what I'm saying? When it comes to a lot of these black Democrats,
Some motherfuckers are always trying to ice skate uphill.
you know what I'm saying? So, ladies and gentlemen, let me know what you all think. Please leave lots of comments after the stream. Shout out to everybody that came here. Before you guys get out of here, don't move. It'll take you into the next stream window. I hope to see you all over there. All right. I want to give a shout out to everybody that contributed to the stream. Shout out to my man, AB Promotions. For whatever reason, his is not showing up in the back, but I just want to give a shout out to him. Also, I want to shout out the Anti-Sheep again for the generous Cash App donation that he gave yesterday. Make sure y'all show him some love. Shout out to Denise Scales, who contributes to the channel all the time. Shout out to Dora, definitely appreciate it. Shout out to Black Spider, who always contributes to the channel, definitely appreciate it. Shout out to MC, appreciate you, bro. And shout out to Lloyd Sky 9, who always contributes to the channel. Ladies and gentlemen, as always,
walk up in the life. Yeah, I'm really him. Talking my shit like I'm really him. Hold up. Look, walking this bitch like, hey. Yeah, I'm really him. Talking my shit like, hey. I'm really him. Don't believe me? Come and see me. Got 3 wishes from my genie. Now I'm on your local TV. Y'all on tour. Got demons say she wanna come and see me when I'm in a local city. I'm like, pause though. Please step aside so they can see me. And I walk up in this bitch like, yeah, I'm really him. Talking my shit like I'm really him, on God. Walk up in this bitch like, yeah, I'm really him. Talking my shit like I'm really him. I'm the realest from my city. That's on my knee, that's on Kiwi, that's on mamas. Niggas don't believe me, come and see me. I been dodging all that face. All these niggas working broke, but I been getting paid. All that know me from the street. Flexing for what feature, that's like every other week. Talk behind my back, I kick my feet up, have a seat. Cause at the end of the day, all these watching me as I walk up in this light. Yeah, I'm really him. Talking my shit like I'm really him, on God. Walk up in this light. Yeah, I'm really him. Talking my shit like I'm really him, on God. Walk up in this light. Yeah, I'm really him. Talking my shit like I'm really him. Hold up. Look, walking this bitch like, hey. Yeah, I'm really him. Talking my shit like